This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Tuesday, March 21st. It's National Ag Day, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I have a little bit of Dustin's chat with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig, as he had the chance to talk with him on this National Ag Day and just what that means for the state of Iowa. We also have a check of that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, and for a bit of analysis, we go to Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. First off, Jacob, how are things looking in the grains today?
You can summarize it by saying ugly. I had a decent start. We chopped around on both sides of the trade, and we ended up closing this thing pretty ugly in the beans and the wheat, especially filtered over into the corn market, down 3 or 4 cents at the close, but not a solid leg to stand on here as we go into the midweek. Saw some decent exports come out, or a flash sale come out this morning, and that always gets the market excited a little bit. So we saw a little bit of buying in the corn market. China ended up buying 136,000 metric ton of corn from the United States. Got us a little bit excited. Stayed pretty calm most of the day, but just failed to hold those gains across the whole grain complex. And we ended up closing the wheat market down in Chicago down 20 cents. We were down 20 cents at one time in the front months of the soybeans. So you can summarize it by saying just a negative, ugly day.
Now, with those flash sales to China, can we expect maybe a little more kind of prolonged demand from that? How much corn do they actually need? Because we did see some good excitement last week from those consecutive days of sales to China.
Well, you got to go back to what the USDA did on our export side of the balance sheet. We took out 75 million bushels from the demand going for this marketing season. Probably came about it a little bit prematurely, but the thing that we're looking at is like 1.9 is what we're looking at on the balance sheet as far as demand expected for exports. It's a pretty low number, and so if these coming in, that could change what they have to do in the next supply and demand report. But realistically, not a huge mover at this point. Now, if these sales continue and China finds this to be a value trade, that's what they are. Then I think that could change the dynamic of the old crop corn. The thing you have to look at is when you look at the price of their corn domestically there in China, it doesn't really say that this is an extreme value, a big, large value. So we'll see how the sales continue. But yes, it is important. They do matter. And you look at any type of continued buying, whether it's them or anybody, we do need to continue to see that export move up. But at this point right now, I think they didn't get excited about a smaller sale today, and they need to kind of stack on some larger sales.
And then kind of looking a little more into the future, we know that things in Argentina just, their crop is not good. It's so much smaller, in fact, that it's going to make them kind of net in South America lower, even with that massive crop from Brazil. How is that kind of shaping up, from our expectations earlier on the year from competition with South America? What's the picture looking on later on for that?
Well, anytime you have a certain area that specializes in one certain niche, if you will, if you want to call Argentina's exporting of the soybean meal a niche, that's what they do. And so that changed the dynamic of what we're going to be exporting. And, our soybeans might not be as big of an export, but hopefully we get some of that soybean meal exported. They're going to be importing some beans from Brazil to fulfill that need of what they typically export. But when you go back looking, you always look at Argentina as a 50 and 50. They produce about 50 million metric ton on a high side of beans and 50 million metric ton of corn. And now you're looking at about a half a crop in the corn market, especially. So that obviously changes the dynamics of what South America's feeding there. I mean, they have a large livestock contingent, so they're going to be changing how they feed and what they feed there. So it does make a different, a significant dent into the global trade of the grain. But if you do have to look at, they are going to be a little bit smaller, even with the Brazil having that big soybean crop and big corn crop coming. But all in all, it's not a huge detriment. If they wouldn't have had the expansion in Brazil that we've had over the last 2 years, then yeah, this would be even a bigger problem than what we're seeing now.
And then how about on the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex? How are things looking there today?
I think the focus must have been over in selling beans and wheat, because there wasn't just a whole lot going on here in the corn or the cattle. The feeder cattle started off negative this morning. We ended up catching a rally and closing pretty quiet. The cattle side of things, fat cattle were down, up 40 in the front months and down 20, 30 in the back months. So it was very light trade, very, very quiet in the live cattle and feeder cattle. Hogs, on the other hand, is the seventh day in a row that we've seen a negative trade here. So we were down 70 cents in the April. So that's about $2 or so down below, maybe $3 now below the lean hog index, which that's something that will come together eventually.
All right, Jacob, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and our viewers who would like to get in touch and learn more from the folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
You can take a look at us online, agmarket.net. Sign up for a 30-day free trial of our app or our Intel. It's all of our commentary come at you for 30 days for free. From there, you can look us up on the About Us section and look at our team, and then you can send us individual emails if you like. We'd love to chat with you.
Great talking with you as always, Jacob, and we look forward to catching up again soon.
Have a good day, Riley. Thanks for having me.
That again was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers close. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. May corn is down 3 even at 6.30 even. December new crop down 3 1/4 at 5.56 3/4. May soybeans down 19 even at 14.67 even. November new crop down 13 even at 12.96 even. May soybean meal down 2.10 at 4.60.60. May soybean oil down 1.75 at 56.24. Chicago wheat down 17.5 at 6.83 1/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 5 3/4 at 8.45 3/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 9.5 at 8.20 1/4. May oats up 3 1/4 at 3.59 even. On the Merc, April live cattle up 40 at 162.42. May feeders up 40 as well at 199.55. April lean hogs down 72 at 77.05. April pork cutout down $1 at 83.90. Class 3 milk down 3 cents at 18.02. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, Dustin talks with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, today Dustin had his monthly chat with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig, and for part of that chat, they talked about National Ag Day, which is today. Obviously very important in the state of Iowa. They talked about what it means for the state and the farmers in the state, as well as some other things that are going on in the state right now.
We're talking right now with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig. And first of all, Secretary, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us, and happy National Ag Day to you.
Always great to visit. And, I always say every day is Ag Day when you're the Iowa Secretary of Agriculture. But you know what? We'll celebrate, especially today, how important agriculture is to Iowa, how blessed we are. And it is great to be able to celebrate.
And I mean, there is a lot for Iowa farmers to be proud of across the spectrum of grains and livestock, isn't there?
There is. And, you look at Iowa, we really are. And I'm biased, and I know that. And you even have Iowa in the title of your organization. But Iowa agriculture matters, and it's a big deal. We are leaders in so many categories: corn, certainly pork, eggs, ethanol, biodiesel. Innovation, ag tech. We are leaders in trade, exports, processing, feed manufacturing. There are so many things that we're doing well. I say we're blessed, right? We have the resources that allow us to be incredibly productive. We've got the people to harness all of that. the natural resources to leverage that to be productive. And yet we've got this great commitment to innovation and what's next and ag tech. And I think all of those things are uniquely happening really in close proximity right here in Iowa. So we've got a lot to celebrate. And then you translate that also into, we've got a big responsibility when it comes to occupying that space in U.S. agriculture.
And talk a little bit about that responsibility and even how much it's changed in the last few years as well.
Well, one of the key elements or the outcomes that Ag Day and ag organizations are looking for today is that people have a greater appreciation or understanding for where their food and their fiber and their fuel comes from. And when you take a look over the last 2 or 3 years, you could go back. I wonder how many times you and I just alone have said the words supply chain disruption in our conversations. It unfortunately is really one of the defining terms of the last couple of years, that we saw fewer items on the grocery store shelf, or you were limited in what you could buy, or just in every aspect of our lives, we've got a disrupted supply chain. And so if ever there was a time to have a greater appreciation for where things come from, especially things that come from farms and farms that have to deal with weather and market uncertainty and high input costs, that it's now. And I hope that people have an appreciation for that, because nothing about what we've done in agriculture, food and agriculture, and I'm saying from beginning to end of that food and ag supply chain, including farmers in the middle, nothing has been easy. And unfortunately, 23 is going to continue to bring us some challenges in terms of workforce and uncertainty. So let's just pause for a minute today and think about how important that is and how blessed we are that we live in the United States.
And we're talking about those challenges, and one of those supply chain issues it kind of coincides with the geese I heard flying over as you were answering that last question, and that's HPAI. And gosh, we were hoping we could get another 30 days under our belt, but we see another outbreak in Northeast Iowa. What's going on there?
We did, unfortunately. We had another. It's a backyard flock, small number of birds, but what it tells you is that the virus is still around. It's still active. It can still be transmitted. Now, we hope that it's lessened. We hope that as birds are moving north, and you're hearing them, you're right, you're seeing them, the weather improves as lakes begin to open up, ice goes out, those birds are going to come north. They're going to come as far as they can see open water. So in one sense, we'd like them to move through and get up to Minnesota and beyond. But we know the reality is that we're at, once again, an elevated risk. And that confirmed case just, again, reminds us that it's available to be transmitted to those commercial flocks. So unfortunately, I think the last year taught us that there's no time where you're totally free of the risk. But this is certainly a higher risk time, because we know that those birds are moving in large quantities. So it's a stressful time for producers.
And maybe we could just talk about, again, what kind of things that the producers need to be watching for if they suspect something's going on.
First and foremost is what we want to encourage folks is, and by now people are well versed in this, but especially for backyard producers as well, which is, if you see birds they don't feel well, they're off feed, they're off water, they look lethargic, that's a time to make a phone call and find out what's going on. From a livestock, from a commercial production standpoint, this is really about trying to keep what's outside and inside, try not to track things into buildings. You're just trying to minimize the contact with those outside birds or things that are outside that could be tracked in. So, it's just a time of high alert. And history tells us that this is the time of year where we would expect to see it start to pop if it's going to.
Thanks, Dustin. And that again was Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, there's not too much new to say about the weather right now. Spring has finally sprung and the temperatures are much nicer to reflect that, but we don't know how long that nice spring weather will stick around. After all, later this week, we are looking at a chance for kind of a wintry mix for certain parts of the state. But otherwise, the temperatures are looking nicer. There's a chance for thunderstorms kind of in the middle of this week. So definitely going to feel like spring, at least for a little bit. So let's see what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, spring has in fact sprung. Today we have partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies with scattered chances for very light rain, highs ranging from the upper 40s to low 50s. Tonight it'll be cloudy with a chance for rain, then patchy fog, lows ranging from the low 30s to low 40s. And tomorrow that fog will clear off to mostly cloudy skies with a chance for rain. It is spring after all. Highs ranging from the low 40s to about 60. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee will be mostly cloudy with a high around 44. Shenandoah, fog and then mostly cloudy and a high around 60. Des Moines, partly sunny with a chance for rain and 56. Waterloo, cloudy with a chance for rain and 54. Albia, cloudy and rainy with a high of 55. And Clinton, much of the same, cloudy and rainy with a high of 55.
For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. That's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. You can find all of our video content as well as previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.